Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
Wow, there is so much to get into on a Friday when it comes to what are you willing to trade up to number 4 in the NFL draft? Was Nathan MacKinnon's point streak actually ended last night? And then should we actually even care about the Colorado Rockies? It's 3 great questions for a Friday episode with our very own Richie, Carni. How are you? It's been a second.
It's been a little bit. I'm good, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for Easter weekend. I'm excited for to get some Easter candy.
Yes.
We were just talking about how there was some stolen Easter candy in the
Allegedly.
office.
Allegedly.
But I am also excited because it means we're getting a little bit closer to the NFL draft. And a lot of people are thinking the Broncos are going to get into that number 4 spot. They're going to trade with the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm curious, what are you willing to give up to move into the number 4 spot? And which quarterback are you taking?
It's a good question, and I think the second part of your thing there of your question is depends on the entire thing for me. So if am I trading up to 4 to get Drake May? Am I trading up to 4 to get JJ McCarthy?
Yep.
Is it Jaden Daniels? Because all of a sudden, it was pretty clear early in the college football season and even toward the end, toward bowl season, that it was Caleb Williams number 1, Drake May number 2. Then Jaden Daniels goes on a Heisman campaign, wins the award, and it's like, okay, Jaden Daniels is going number 3, and he may even jump Drake May as the number 2 quarterback behind Caleb, who's the undisputed number 1.
Yep.
And then we have the national championship and pro days and all this stuff. And now JJ McCarthy is the belle of the ball.
Yeah, everyone loves him.
And you've got Jim Harbaugh going on a media campaign and all that. So I don't know if I'm willing to trade up to number 4 and I'm willing to give up a lot to do it, but it is quarterback dependent. So the quarterback that I would want in a perfect world to move up and get would be Jaden Daniels.
Oh, of course.
And if you're telling me that that's the case, I'll give up 2 future firsts and maybe a second in next year or whatever. But I'm willing to pay.
Okay. I'm same with you on Daniels, but Brian Kelly, LSU's coach, essentially went on to say that he's going to the Commanders.
Yeah,
he did, and that's no surprise.
He did say that. Yep. So
it doesn't come really as any shock for me when it comes to that front, but for a JJ McCarthy, which gosh, it kills me to give up so much to go get JJ McCarthy, or a Drake May. I'm kind of riding high on Drake May, but not like I am Daniels, and obviously they're flopping in a lot of different mock drafts and such, but I'm just not willing to give up the world like I think a lot of people are to get that quarterback.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. I mean, I saw the Brian Kelly clip where he said he's going to be making plays for Washington and all that, right, in that interview. But I mean, it wasn't but a month ago that Jim Harbaugh was coming out on national television and saying that JJ McCarthy was going to be the Commander's next playmaker and all that stuff.
He's going to be the first quarterback
you kind of have
off the board.
Yeah, you kind of have to take those with a grain of salt, I suppose, a little bit, although I wouldn't be surprised either way. Setting my very well-stated personal bias aside, I personally don't think I would be thrilled to mortgage the farm for JJ McCarthy, but I'll say this. If Sean Payton, who's the one who's really got to make this happen, sees the next Drew Brees in JJ McCarthy and says, hey, that is a guy that I can take with and win, then he should give up whatever I was willing to give up for Jaden Daniels, he should give up and mortgage to get JJ McCarthy because he's the one that's got to make it at the end.
I love that we have such a good relationship because I can go at you and I can say, what has Sean Payton done besides Drew Brees? Why is everybody on this rant about if he can find the next Drew Brees? How many other quarterbacks does he work with that have not turned out to be Drew Brees?
Not a lot.
So then why do we all of a sudden think that this year, after he's coming back, that he's going to be able to do it?
But listen, let's not make it seem like Drew Brees was this ready-made product when Sean Payton got him. He was cast aside by the Chargers. He had a blown-out shoulder.
You have one perfect show.
Okay.
Does not mean that the rest of your shows are going to be.
Has Jameis Winston ever looked better than when he was under Sean Payton? Jameis Winston went from being a 30-pick, 30-touchdown quarterback to going 5-0 with the Saints during an injury stint to Drew Brees and parlayed it into several other opportunities for him. And I also don't think it's fair.
Where's Jameis Winston right now?
That's a good question.
Nowhere.
But I also don't. That's also not Sean Payton's fault. I also don't think it's fair to hold it necessary. I think it's fair to speculate, But I don't think you can just preemptively hold it against Sean Payton that he hasn't worked with anybody but Drew Brees. What is Bill Belichick not one of the greatest head coaches of all time?
Yes.
What has Bill
did you hear he's going to write a book?
Interesting.
It's going to be a must-read book.
What has Bill Belichick done without Tom Brady? He's one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Oh, and it's honestly fair.
Yep.
It's like the big debate, right? Of was it Drew or was it Sean?
Bruce Arians was a phenomenal football coach for the entirety of his career. What did he really do without Tom Brady when they went to Tampa?
Nothing.
Right? Andy Reid's career without Patrick Mahomes looks a lot different. Is Andy Reid still a great offensive mind and great coach? Yes. So while you can say that he hasn't done anything without Drew Brees and, you know, he got lucky and this and that and this and that, maybe, but I don't think that's 100% fair. And I think you brought him in to make that bet that he can do what he did with Drew with someone else because he is who that is. So you have to give him the opportunity to do it.
I'm totally here to give the opportunity, but I'm not here to just be like, I'm giving away next 3 first-round picks for him to take in some rookie QB that we don't even know.
What if that's what it takes?
What if it doesn't work? There's your entire future. We just did that with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
Yeah, but the difference is you did it with Russell Wilson, who is already in his mid-30s and has you can't mold Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a finished product. I know he preached about wanting to turn himself into more of a pocket passer to prove that he's not a runner, and he wants to follow the Drew Brees mold to play into his 40s and all that, which he's not going to. And that's great. Russell Wilson is a basically finished statue, finished painting. What you're giving Sean Payton in the form of a young quarterback in this year's draft is a blank canvas, and you can mold that and you can create that. Russell Wilson was way too far down the line. So while I understand what you're saying, because they gave up 3 first-round picks in several seconds and all this stuff to get Russ and Sean Payton combined, that's showbiz, baby. You got to roll the dice, and if you fail, then you fail. So but if you succeed, if you fail, you've ruined the next 3 years of your drafts, and your team is probably going to suck. But if you hit...
They already suck.
If you hit... was worse. If you hit, you have established a foundation for the next 15 years.
You could also pick up the next Mac Jones where it doesn't even matter, and there goes the entire future.
You might.
So you're willing to give 2024, 2025, and 2026 first-round draft picks?
Well, in 2024, we're probably talking about a first-round pick swap and then a mid-round pick, right?
Yeah.
So you're not really giving... You're
probably giving the second round.
Okay. Yes. I'm willing to give
2026.
I am willing to give up 2 future firsts, 2025 and 2026, because that's the name of the game. I'm being realistic about what it's going to take. Look at what the 49ers did to move up to get Trey Lance.
Like they're moving in, though, to the number 1 spot.
The 49ers moved I think they moved from 12 to 3. We're talking about moving from 12 to 4, so it's pretty close.
But we're not talking about moving into the number 1 spot. We're talking about getting the 4th best QB, and you're going to mortgage your entire future. I just can't do this year and next year. Sure, I can do it, but you add on another one, I cannot realistically do that. You
can't choose when you suck, Rachel. It would be great.
I mean, you can, and if they would have chosen to suck, they probably would have been 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, but it gets tough to do that in the NFL because of the contract situations, the amount of money you have on the line, and every year that because of those tighter windows, if you're trying to tank in the NFL, it's hard to line up your structuring contracts. Everything is centered around the quarterback. You have to do whatever you have to do. You have to bet it all on black. You have to push your chips in the center of the table until you find that guy. Once you have that guy, you're Josh Allen, you're Patrick Mahomes, you're CJ Stroud, maybe you're Jordan Love. Once you have that guy, everything else folds around that.
It's funny you say that, though. Like, you have to do whatever it takes. Interesting how Broncos country is not willing to trade PS2 for whatever it takes. I'm like, Patrick Surtain, I hope you land with a really good team. Good luck, my friend. I wish you the best. But people do not want to trade Pat Surtain.
Well, listen, he's an all-pro. He's the best player to have sat at that to have been at that position, or he looks to be the best player at that position since the no-fly zone, the Super Bowl vaunted defense.
Yep.
And if he stays a Bronco for the entirety of his career, you're looking at another Champ Bailey type figure. Yeah. But the problem with Champ Bailey is, what did Champ Bailey never win?
A Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl. So Champ Bailey
was still the biggest heartbreaks in my sports career.
Champ Bailey was the best player at his position, arguably in the NFL for stretches of his career. Yes. And he wasn't up against a bunch of nobodies. You're talking Revis Island.
Yeah.
You're talking, there's a lot. So He never won the big one, though, because they didn't have a quarterback or an offense in general for the majority of his career that was willing to do that. He had a shot, but they lost.
I know.
So PS2 can be the best player in franchise history at the cornerback position, and it doesn't mean the Broncos. It doesn't move the needle enough for that to be the reason the Broncos win a Super Bowl.
Also, can I just say right now, Champ Bailey's still over PS2. Sorry, I'm just gonna.
Well, PS2's so young. I mean, Champ Bailey's career was like vaunted,
so insane
and long, and I mean, you want to talk about the Champ Bailey Clinton. I mean, the Broncos traded a guy who was a 1,600 yard rusher, and then did it for like several consecutive years after that in Washington. And it's like, you know how good that player has to be in order to justify giving up that guy. I mean, it's the equivalent of trading like Adrian Peterson in his prime for the Vikings, and if not more, and they managed to do it. It's one of the rarest win-win trades for two NFL teams that I can remember in recent memory.
Oh, football. We love it. We also love hockey, and unfortunately, heartbreak last night, not because the Avs lost, but because Nathan MacKinnon's point streak comes to an end. And I'm curious. I have the clip. It's an overhead view of the clip. Okay. It's being called an own goal right now by the New York Rangers. They're trying to overturn it and say that Nathan MacKinnon had the assist. We're going to play the clip. I don't know. I cannot tell. Mikko Rantanen's stick is the one that you see at the bottom of your screen. He also hits the stick to kind of move it. How are you feeling looking at this? I can't tell you. I think it is an own goal. Unfortunately, I think that sucks, but I can see the point they're trying to make of Mikko Rantanen's stick hits his stick, essentially.
Yep, 100%. I think this is one of those, by the letter of the law, they got the call right. Because as you saw there, it clearly gets corralled and goes off of the Rangers player's stick through Shesterkin's legs. Yeah. But Mikko Rantanen's stick is what helps push the other stick in that direction. Clearly, the Rangers player is not trying to move the puck exactly in that direction. Yep. So it was influenced by Mikko. But because the wood that touched the puck belonged to the Rangers player, that to me says, I understand why they called it an own goal. And if it doesn't, if it's upheld and it stands and the point streak ends, I got it. Okay. Like it sucks, but I get it.
My only thing with it, and I'm going to play this one more time, is when I look at this, I'm like, okay, even if they gave it back to Nathan MacKinnon, it kind of still feels like no matter what it ends. Because it very clearly goes off the Rangers stick. Like, it would just feel like the NHL is doing a nice one to Nathan MacKinnon.
Giving a solid,
and I don't think that's
to a Hart Trophy candidate or front runner and one of the faces of the league.
So I think we just have to, as Avalanche fans, accept the fact that it's come to an end.
And you know what? I think it's okay. And I for multiple reasons. One, they've got bigger things to focus on, and sometimes
they cared though.
Of course, they do.
In overtime, they were trying to give Nathan MacKinnon every single opportunity.
And I think that's a sign of respect from his teammates and their head coach to kind of draw up those things. But it also is an acknowledgement that I think you would want Nathan MacKinnon to have control in those situations, that because he's your star.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's like, yes, they may have been trying to force it to keep it alive, but it's not like they were forcing it to some second line center.
True.
You know what I mean? They were forcing it to their best player.
Yeah. He's going to win the Hart, right?
I think so.
He has to.
I think so. I think he got robbed the year he was supposed to win it, and then it went to, I think, that guy from the Devils.
Yep. I can't remember his name.
It's escaping me in this moment. That's frustrating to me. But I think he got robbed that year. This year, I don't think it happens. I know that there's been some fluctuation in the odds and the movement and stuff like that. I think he's put together the body of work, and I think it'll be his. And I think that it will be validation that he, in my opinion, is long overdue.
Taylor Hall.
I almost said Corey Hall.
We love Google. It tells us all the answers we need.
So yes, I do think he'll win it. I'm not. It's one of those things. I'm sad to see the point streak end because it was kind of just this extension of something amazing. But he already set records as a part of this with the point streak. He also had a separate point streak at the start of the season.
He's the only player in NHL history to have 2 19-point streaks in one consecutive season.
Yep. So
he's been insane this year.
In my opinion, he's done all he needs to do in that department. He's satisfied that, and now it's time to look for another cup.
I think they can do it. Let me preface this. I think they can do it if Nichushkin is with the team. He hasn't been there the past 2 games, and so it's been, where is Val Nichushkin? And that's going to be a question all the time. They're a different team when he is out there.
They 100%. I don't. If you needed any evidence of that, just look at last year when they fizzled out against the Kraken, because I don't think the Avs win the cup last year. I think that they were just they were broken down.
So tired.
But if Val doesn't go MIA and that whole situation doesn't unfold, I don't think they lose to the Kraken. Agreed. I think they at least go past the first round.
Agreed.
So I don't know. I think that absolutely Val is the key, and I'll give them the credit that they're due, that front office and that organization, McFarland and all of them. At the start of this year and midway through this year, I was like, I just don't think these guys have the gas in the tank. They don't look the same. It's like they're trying to be what the same kind of dominant formula they were during the cup run, and it's just you don't have the same pieces.
They brought in
but
pieces.
those moves that they made. Now, will it age as fine as the moves they made at the deadline of the cup run year in 21? I don't know, because every single player that they brought in at the deadline in 2021 made significant, major game and series changing goals and moves during that playoff run.
Yep.
So we'll TBD on whether or not it'll look like that, but so far it looks pretty good.
Oh, it looks
They
fantastic.
look different.
They do. And they seem like they have a chip on their shoulder to go out there and be able to do it. And man, do I hope so. I hope it's a really long cup run. I hope they're able to pull it off. We might have got a preview last night against the Rangers too. So it was definitely a really fun game. But last night we also got to watch the Rockies embarrass themselves on the season opener. And I'm going to be the first one to say it. If you are a Colorado sports fan, it is okay to not care about the Colorado Rockies. It's okay. I saw a lot of people on Twitter last night that were like, oh, all you fair weather fans. The Rockies have not done anything to say we are making changes. We are trying to get better. It is 100% okay to not care about the Colorado Rockies. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it.
The Rockies haven't done anything to everything you said, and somehow they've been to the postseason more recently than the Broncos.
Stop with that. Just stop with
How is that
right
possible?
Now. Stop.
How is that possible? Now, to answer your to your original point, listen, and I went back and forth with some people on social media about this. I think as a sports fan, it's okay to turn your attention away or to not care about anything that's going on with the local teams. You have that right. People's time is valuable, and you have the right. If the product that you are being pitched or put out in front of you or whatever is not up to what you think is worth your time, then turn away. And I don't think that necessarily makes you a fair weather fan in principle. But I don't know if this game is indicative of
watch them go on some 10-game win streak.
Listen, for the Snakes fans out there, the D-backs, I think the Rockies got you right where they want you.
Oh my God.
I think
they got embarrassed.
I think, yeah. They what was the stat? These are my favorite kind of stats that have 19 qualifiers attached to it, where it's like no team has ever given up more runs in a single inning on opening day on the road than the Rockies since 1900. 124 years.
I love those stats
Baseball in America was was barely a sport at that point. I mean, I know it carried on overseas into the 1800s and whatever, but I mean, we're talking about serious record. That being said, they're going to suck.
They're going to
suck. But if this is the product, it could be a fun suck. It could be
I can't tell you.
How low can we go?
I don't know the last time I turned on a Rockies game. I don't know if I've ever turned on a Rockies game, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I was like, we should watch last night's game, because it was like the Broncos-Miami game where you're waiting for history to be made and you're like, is Miami going to score 72?
I still can't believe they didn't kick that field goal to go up 73. They should have done it. They should have done it. They should have done it. And all the people that said they shouldn't have, because it's sportsmanship be damned.
Oh,
you only
at
get
that point,
you only get a chance at history so many times. Even if it's against a team that I have a rooting interest for, go for it.
I wanted him to kick the field goal.
I was obviously being facetious about we got him right where you want you, but it just made me laugh. And I was talking about this with the guys down the hall this morning about because Mike and Mark were going on about like the Diamondbacks have awoken a sleeping giant because we had Bud Black on the morning show yesterday,
and he said that the players are aware.
They can hear it, they're aware, and they don't like it, and they're gonna like a caged animal or backed into a corner, they're gonna come out swinging, and it's like
was so funny to see the score last night.
That's a hell of a swing. That is a hell of a response, and honestly, I feel bad for those guys. Because you don't have a bunch of guys out there that don't care. You know, the Rockies have some young talent. They have some.
So what is it?
It's organizational apathy, Rachel. It starts at the top. I guess maybe that's not entirely fair. And I think Dick Monfort's a good guy. I think he's a good guy, and I think he cares about. He is selling
beers and hot dogs.
He's a baseball fan. And he loves.
Is
he? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if he is, why do you keep the same manager that hasn't helped your team do anything? But we're looking at contract extensions
because he doesn't have to. Because he
Because he cares about selling beers and hot dogs.
Mike Evans has said this for years and years and years, and I think he's totally spot on about it. In Colorado at 20th and Blake, the ballpark is the star.
Because you can sell beers and hot dogs. So then why, as a Colorado Avalanche fan, Colorado Rockies fan, why should we care? Why should we go out there?
Because it's fun. Because it's fun. Rachel, I live 50 yards.
Wake the fun up with Tracy and Fizz on every single morning.
I live 100 yards from that ballpark. It's fun. And do I go to games sometimes because of my proximity and the relative inexpensive nature of a lot of those tickets?
Because it's $14 to get in.
Rooftop Richie didn't come from nowhere. Okay. And if you want to make,
you
want to make, it could be. If you want to name me part of the problem, sure, I am. But clearly, Dick Monfort and that organization at the front office level understands that they don't have to over all the things we're talking about with the Broncos. You got to mortgage your future. You got to do this. You got to do that. The Rockies don't have to do that because at the end of the day, they're in the top half of the league and sometimes the top 10 in attendance every single year. From their eyes, the fans in this town are proving that they don't have to go out and do everything they can to put a winner on the field because they're going to come anyways because it's fun.
Don't you think it'd be so embarrassing, though, to go into an owners meeting and know that you are one of the worst teams and you're never going to be better?
No. And I'll tell you why. I think
my pride would get in the way.
I think the MLB ESPN can rip them to shreds and people here locally can say they're going to boycott them and we're going to Oakland A it and do all that stuff and sell the team chants on. That's great. You got to remember, it's different circles in things.
Sure.
Among the ownership circle, I bet you the other owners in the league look at Dick Monfort like he is a freaking genius.
Because he doesn't have to pay anything for players.
Because he doesn't have to go out and he doesn't have to pay Shohei Ohtani $700 million.
Still the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And defer it over 20 or 10 years or whatever it is. And they don't have to go out and sign like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, all these teams that are winning World Series and competing for them. He doesn't have to do that, and he still rakes in the dough. I think the other owners are like, can you imagine what I could do with Dick Monfort's level of fan loyalty and attendance numbers and gate money and all that? Are you kidding?
Pisses me off.
He probably looks like a genius.
This pisses me off.
Did you see?
I'm angry about
Did you? And I'll even go so far as beyond NFL or MLB owners. Did you see what the Tennessee Titans are doing in their new stadium?
No.
The Tennessee Titans are building a new stadium. And they're putting a rooftop party deck
I did see
the
that.
stadium.
Do you see what the Miami Marlins are doing?
I didn't. But the only reason that the Tennessee Titans is significant is I think that there were NFL ownership people that came to Colorado and looked at these stadiums. And I have no way of proving it. That's not a report. This is purely tinfoil hat speculation on my part. I bet you that Tennessee Titan thing could have been partially influenced by the success of what the Rockies have been able to do with theirs. Because it's
Tennessee,
awesome.
You're close to Broadway.
Vegas, the whole thing. Yeah.
Makes kind of a little bit of sense.
Yeah. They're like, look at every rooftop bar we have in Nashville.
Yeah.
Why don't we just build a rooftop bar in our stadium? I don't know why every stadium in America doesn't have that.
True. Well, I can tell you why the Broncos don't, because it's a little chilly sometimes. Be a little cold.
People be up there.
I know they would. They'd be in their like snow park is going out. Okay, last part on this that I will say. Miami Marlins, they're doing all you can eat tickets. Should the Rockies consider?
Yes, 100%. I love
Thank
this. And this screams minor league baseball. They do this in the minor leagues all the
Fair.
time. And when I was in Lansing, they have a team there called the Lugnuts. And they would do that. They would do all you can eat nights where if you buy a ticket to this particular game, the pricing may have been a little different or it might have been an add-on, but it was all you can eat.
Hot dogs, popcorn, pretzels.
It was hot dogs, popcorn, pretzels, and soft serve ice cream. And then I think they also had nights where it was all you can drink and all kinds of stuff. And it's really fun.
It's a party.
I went to a lot of Lansing Lugnuts games when I was there. I couldn't tell you the winner or loser at this point of any of them, because it was just fun. They have all it's almost like a muted down version of the Savannah Bananas, where it's like you go to a Savannah Bananas game and it's not at all about the baseball, if you can even call it that, being played.
Agreed.
It's about the experience. And so, yes, if the Rockies, I already told you I'm part of the problem sometimes, and we'll just go to games in the summertime because it's fun.
I am not part of the problem, just so we're making it very clear.
I'm not going to be bashful about it. Now, if you're telling me that the Rockies are going to do all you can eat nights and games or whatever, and it's probably not going to increase the ticket price all that much.
Miami's doing it for $53 a game.
Yeah, I would. Not only would I become more of the problem and go to those games, a lot of people who are in your camp would do. I mean, think about it for the kids, for all that stuff.
I know. I just don't like it.
I don't either. But isn't there a part of you that's just like, that accepts that this is just how it's going to be? Dick Mumford is never going to sell that team, nor should he be forced to or have to. That's his business. He bought it. He can run it how he wants. We can like it or we cannot, and we can say, "Hey, I don't like it. I'm not going to the games."
You can't complain though if you are going. That's the one thing. I will give you props. You will not complain. I can complain because I'm not spending a single dime there because I want to see a better product.
I'm at the point where I just kick back and laugh. It is what it is, and I'm not going to rob myself of the opportunity and the fun to go to a baseball game in the summer, which is fun regardless of who. I could go to Kansas City and go to a Royals-Yankees game in June or July and have just as much fun as if I was going to a Rockies-Nationals game.
For $24 to get in the door.
Yes, 100%. So for me, I'm not going to rob myself of the experience just because the team is not going to be good for reasons that are far outside of my control.
Now, with that being said, we will, in fact, be at opening day. I will be down there in the field. We'll be doing Denver Sports Daily and Coffee Break down there. I know the fans also going to be down there doing a remote podcast, so it's always fun. I do love opening day here in the Mile High City. I love how everybody gets together, but
there's some pageantry about it.
I still hate the product on the field, but it's fine.
I don't blame you.
All right. On that note, it is a Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful Easter weekend if you celebrate, and we will be back Monday at 12 p.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Huge shout out to Richie, of course, again, and to Joey, who's our producer, and we will see you guys then. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Bye.